All right, if you're a veteran who's ever submitted a VA disability claim, you know that feeling. You hit that submit button and then, well, you wait. It can honestly feel like your claim just disappeared into some giant black box. So today, we're going to pry that box wide open. We're pulling back the curtain to show you exactly what's happening on the other side. Let's dive in.
You've done all the hard work, right? You gathered your evidence, you filled out all the forms, you finally hit the button. And now, it's just silence. It's a feeling pretty much every veteran goes through. So what is actually happening behind the scenes? What are you waiting for?
Okay, so let's start right at the very beginning, that split second when your claim leaves your screen and officially enters the VA system. You know, it's easy to feel like you just launched your documents into a void, but that's not what happens at all. The moment you submit, your claim enters this massive but surprisingly organized nationwide system that's designed to get it to the right people. Right off the bat, two absolutely crucial things happen. First, your claim gets its own unique tracking ID. And second, and listen, this is so important, it gets linked to your intent to file date. This locks in your effective date, which means that's the day your benefits could be paid all the way back to if your claim gets approved. Huge. Now, how you actually get that claim into the system really matters. So let's look at the different ways you can file and why one path is, well, pretty much always the best choice. I mean, this chart really lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? Just look at that top row. When you file online at va.gov, you get an instant confirmation, and it is by far the fastest way to get processed. That's why it's the only one with a big yes in that last column. You can see that mail and in-person, well, they're just slower all around. So let's just hammer this home. Why is online so much better? You get that confirmation number right away, so you know they have it. It automatically locks in that all-important effective date. You can upload your evidence directly. You can save your progress and come back to it. And all of that adds up to the big one, a faster decision. All right, so to really get why things take time, you first have to understand the sheer scale of what the VA is dealing with. I mean, the numbers are pretty staggering. Just think about this number for a second. Over 2 million disability claims. That's how many the VA processes every single year. Your claim is just one of those, entering a system that's built to handle that unbelievable volume. And to make that even more real, on a busy day, the VA can process more than 10,000 claims. That's the kind of machine your claim is moving through. It's definitely not just sitting in one person's inbox somewhere. So how in the world do they manage all this? The key is something called the National Work Queue, or the NWQ. You can think of it like the brain of the whole operation. It's a smart system that does a lot more than just send your claim to the closest office. So what does this system actually mean for you? Well, it means your claim from California might get handled by a specialist in Florida. And why would they do that? Because the system is constantly scanning all 56 regional offices to find the team that has the capacity and the right expertise to handle your specific claim as quickly and accurately as possible. It's all about preventing backups. Okay, so your claim is officially in the system and it's been assigned to an office. Now, let's walk through the 6 distinct steps it's going to take on its journey to a final decision. So here's the roadmap. First up is the initial review, where they just make sure everything's there. Then it moves to evidence development, where the VA starts gathering records. This is usually when they'll request a C&P exam, a medical exam for your condition. After that, it goes to a rater, a specialist, who makes the actual rating decision. That decision gets a final double check during authorization. And finally, the notification gets prepped and sent your way. So the big question, right? How long does that whole 6-step journey take? Well, based on the current averages, you should probably expect it to take somewhere between 85 and 130 days for most first-time claims. Just knowing that timeline can honestly help manage a lot of the stress. And that brings us to the waiting game itself. It can be really tough, I get it, but you are not powerless here. Let's talk about what you can actually do to stay on top of things. This quote from a fellow veteran just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling of just being in limbo. And it's no wonder this is one of the hardest parts of the whole process. You've done your part, and now you're just waiting. And that feeling is completely and totally valid. But the key thing to remember is that you don't have to just be a passive passenger on this ride. You can actually take the wheel. So here are your 3 main tools for staying in control. First, track your claim online. Use that status tracker. Second, and this one is critical, if the VA asks for something, respond immediately. And third, take a minute to actually understand what each of those status updates means.
Okay, your number one tool, your absolute best friend in this process, is the status tracker on va.gov. It's your window into what's going on. It'll show you exactly which of those 6 steps your claim is in, all the way from claim received to complete. Now listen up, because if you only take one thing away from this whole explainer, let it be this. If the VA needs more information from you, they'll reach out. Any delay on your part, even just a day or two, directly adds time to your claims journey. The single most important thing you can do to keep things moving is to respond immediately. Look, the VA system is enormous. It's a beast, but it isn't random, and it's not a black box. It's a system with a very clear defined process. And understanding that process, from the work queue to the 6 steps of review, well, that knowledge transforms that awful feeling of anxiety into a sense of empowerment.
So I want to leave you with this question to think about. Now that you know what's happening behind the curtain and you know what you can do to stay engaged, what's one thing you'll do differently the next time you're in that waiting game?